Hello and welcome to another draft episode of the Father and Son Pastime podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin. How are you?
That's my dad. Dad, first draft of 2024.
Exciting.
We've talked about this for a couple months now. It just happens to be right after the Hall of Fame vote. What this draft is, ladies and gentlemen, is we are going to be drafting number one overall picks. The best of, if you will.
Number one.
Number ones, alphas. And we are trying to kind of ascertain through the history of almost going on, 60 years at this point of the MLB draft, who really became, Hall of Famers, legends, if you will, that were that number one great pick, who became busts, kind of a mixed bag already, and who became sort of the role player, bench player. We're not going to have rosters that of Hall of Famers. We might have even a half roster of all-stars. Some are, like I said, role players, bench players. But it'll be fun to see whose team, obviously with every draft, who drafted the better team. Reason I mentioned that we're just after the Hall of Fame draft is my dad and I were talking that, one of us is going to get probably Ken Griffey, and the other one's going to get two of the other two Hall of Famers. Because at this point, when we were doing this planning, only 3 number one overall picks have been elected to the Hall of Fame, all since 2016, by the way. And now Joe Mauer joins that number one overall picks in the Hall of Fame. So we'll probably end up with 2 each. And then round 3 is when it gets pretty fun. Who gets what past that. That's who really, depends your draft. That's who matters at that point.
The middle part of the draft.
Yes. You will win or lose this draft, I think, in rounds 3, 4, or 5.
I think that's a very good point.
Dad, like I said, always we're obviously going through this draft. People at home probably know this, that we do base our who's going first off of just simple cards. Whoever
pick a card, any card,
pulls the higher card gets the option to go first, or to kind of play defense and gets that number 2 and therefore number 3 pick. We do a snake draft. So it's going to be kind of interesting. Do you want the clear, in my opinion, the clear overall number 1 is Ken Griffey, or do you want to get the A- B+, if you will, of these Hall of Famers, which I'm not knocking anyone, but I'm just a little biased towards Ken Griffey. So, Dad, I will always let you draw the first card. Pick anywhere you want in this deck. It's always very methodical. He has won a good amount of drafts. Now it is a 10. It's a 3 for me. So I am at my dad's discretion. If he would like the number 1, truly, he has the option of getting the number 1, if you would like, or he can get obviously the 2-3 wraparound.
I will defer to you.
So I get the number 1.
You do.
Okay. Although I think strategy, Dad, I think that's probably the best strategy. I have no trouble, like I said, taking Ken Griffey Jr. and I think without a doubt he is the number 1 best overall number 1 pick of all time. My favorite player. There's Ken Griffey bobbleheads just this direction.
A slew of the Seattle Mariners, yes. Reds, and White Sox.
Yes. A very easy pick for me. I'm happy to get that. I know that means you're going to get the better of the 2 Hall of Famers. But again, I get my boy. So go ahead.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but I'm doing 1 Hall of Famer and 1 non-Hall of Famer.
Please talk. Please. This is shocking. I thought the first 4 Hall of Famers would go easily.
No, I'm going a different direction.
Okay.
I'm going third baseman, Chipper Jones.
That would totally make sense to me.
And my shortstop is Alex Rodriguez.
He was probably going to be if I had that backup pick, it was probably going to be that 3rd round, that first draft in the 3rd round. All right, you have a great left side of the infield. Obviously, both were drafted as shortstops. I should have. We've been so in this, I forgot to really share a little bit more of the rules. You can, in terms of filling out a roster, filling out this draft, you can take the player and what he was drafted as. So if he was drafted as a center fielder but became a left, drafted as a shortstop but became a third, you can take what they were drafted as, or basically what they played in their career. If they played multiple positions, they're eligible for multiple positions. A la Bryce Harper can really be one of the most versatile people in this draft because of his multiple positions that he kind of checks. So it'll be kind of interesting to see who plays what. So Chipper Jones could have been third or short, as could Alex Rodriguez. But I think you made the right choice with Chipper at third and Alex at short. That was probably what I would have done too. All right, so that's no problem, Dad.
Yay!
So, that I'm gonna obviously therefore take a catcher. I'll take Joe Mauer. It just makes sense to get a catcher. Not too many catchers were drafted. Obviously, number one overall. It's becoming more of a thing in recent years, though. But prior to Joe Mauer, I think it was like maybe one or two other catchers went first. So very happy to get a former MVP, a surprising first ballot Hall of Famer. Carlton Fisk, Mike Piazza, and Yogi Berra were not first ballot Hall of Famers, but Joe Mauer is. Just kind of, that's an interesting conversation. But obviously a lifetime batting average of 306. I think we kind of all know Griffey's and Chipper's and Alex Rodriguez's arguments, but feel free from kind of here on out to maybe defend those picks. Dad, as I start the third round, I can go into obviously a Hall of Fame category, or I could go. I'm looking at. I don't need to draft therefore a third baseman or shortstop really anytime soon. Can't believe you got both. I mean, that was a great pick. I will just have to. I feel like I gotta go for the people's vote here. I'm gonna go ahead and just take the other Hall of Famer. I'll take Harold Baines. I'll take local Marylander. By taking Alex Rodriguez, you kind of forced my hand. A Veterans Committee vote, one of the lowest wars to be in the Hall of Fame. I hear that. Most likely, I'll have him as my DH, but he is eligible as an outfielder and as a first baseman. I believe that's how he was drafted. But yeah, so I think I'm going to keep him as a DH unless I might have to move him around later. But there's my first three picks: Griffey, Mauer, and Harold Baines.
And I get 2 picks now, right?
Yep, just like what I did. It just goes from 2 each time.
Good picks. You stole Harold. I was going to bring him today. He lives on the Eastern Shore.
Yeah, the bridge is shut down right now, but yeah.
I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to draft a pitcher.
Oh, that's early.
Because he's head and shoulders amongst the competition. I'm going Garrett Cole.
Whoa, okay. Go ahead, keep talking.
He's my pitcher, and I'm going Bryce Harper as my... I'm going to go put Bryce in right field.
That's where I would have put him, too. Do you want to talk more about those picks? Both are currently active. This is the first time that we've drafted anyone active, so go ahead if you'd like to defend your picks.
I did copious research because that's what I do.
Copious. Okay.
And I looked at the pitchers, and it's when you did your opening monologue. If you did the pitchers, there's so many pitchers that have fallen out, being 1-1s through shoulder injuries and everything else. That if you really look at the pitchers, there's only one has had sustainable, great career and great stats. And Garrett Cole between the Pirates and Yankees have been very consistent, and I just like him being my starting pitcher. And in my opinion, everything after that takes a step backwards. So I wanted to grab Garrett early on. Bryce, he's had a great career. I think he's got another. Well, his contract goes for another 8, I think. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking he has another 5 or 6 very productive years. I'm happy to get him. I just think that he's a future Hall of Famer. So I was happy to grab him for his offense.
Bryce Harper, great pick. I was surprised that a pitcher went this early. I thought I put a pitcher in a 5th round, and I thought that was even too early there, too, just because I thought a lot of pitchers were kind of close to each other. But now I can sit on that. Now I can sit on that pitcher for a little while. Okay, Dad, this makes things very interesting for me. As obviously, I think I have no infielders at this point. I feel a little bit of a need to get infielders. You don't. Right now, you're using Bryce Harper in the outfield. I was thinking about using him as a first baseman. Mm-hmm. I want to use Joe Mauer as a catcher, but obviously he can play first base, as can Harold Baines. This is like I said, this is where you could win or lose the game, the whole draft here. I'm going to take Adrian Gonzalez as my first baseman.
You're doing well, by the way.
I think so, but again, a lot of people that I already drafted could play first base. Hopefully that's not too early. Adrian Gonzalez, defensively and offensively, I thought was just a really good balance. Well, you have Harold Baines, you have incredible offense, but he's a DH, really. Ken Griffey has both, but he's a league of his own. Joe Mauer's obviously a catcher. I needed someone that had he could be my fourth or fifth guy. He could be a cleanup hitter. He could be behind Griffey. He could be fifth. He's got 4 Gold Gloves. I was surprised to see how very few Hall of Fame votes he got this year, first time on the ballot. But Adrian Gonzalez is my pick for first base. And then I can sit on a couple things now. I'll take an active player too. I'll take Carlos Correa, playing shortstop. Both him and Griffey have Rookie of the Year nominations. He does have a Gold Glove. Still active. Probably the lowest average that I've drafted so far, but again, we're kind of getting into those later rounds. And I felt like I needed a little bit of an infield help because the third base options are a little slim as is second base, so Carlos Correa's got to be the taller kind of captain of the infield at this point. And now him and Adrian both speak Spanish. I don't know if that's going to be a good combination, but I really am thinking through this team as they figure each other out.
Okay.
All right, so I got those 2 players. Dad, it's to you.
I'm going catcher.
Okay, sure.
Adley Rushman.
That's the true easy backup after Joe.
And that's, talking about a great future he has, a switch-hitting catcher. Not too many of those in the league. And then I'm going a left fielder, Darren Erstad, as my left fielder in the mix. So that will be my pick. A great career. And like I was saying before, from South Dakota. And North Dakota, I'm sorry. And then went to Nebraska. He was a college punter on top of being a baseball player. Could be probably in the top 5 athletes of this draft.
He definitely is a great athlete. He was my backup center fielder if I somehow didn't get Griffey. But he's not playing center field for you? You got a different somebody in mind?
You know what? I do have somebody else in mind.
Okay. You can always move him later if needed.
Yeah.
He does have a Gold Glove at center and at first. He could also play first base. He's very versatile.
Yeah.
But somehow he hit 355 one year and didn't win the batting title. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Good year for baseball. People hitting the cover off the ball. But yeah, I like Darren Erstad as an unsung hero of this draft. So I thought that was a really good piece by you. You got Chipper Dad, Alex Rodriguez, Bryce Harper, Adley Rushman, Darren Erstad, and Garrett Cole, who again was not even on my list. He probably was third behind the 2 that I had. Okay, so I have 3 great outfielders that I have to think about from here. God, all right. You did 2 drafts, right? Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yes. You got Adley and Erstad. I know I'm going to take Justin Upton. Most likely playing him in left field. Justin Upton, I think, qualifies at every outfield position, but I just want to double check that. A solid WAR. He's kind of, he hovered around that 30 WAR. Him and Darren Erstad actually have the exact same career WAR. Thought that was interesting. 325 home runs. He did end his career with 1,000 exactly RBIs. But Erstad obviously is a little bit better defender. And obviously he had that crazy year hitting 355, so he hits the ball a little better. But I'll take more power with Upton. And again, I got Griffey covering center. Upton doesn't need the Gold Gloves because Griffey's got every direction. But I'm just double checking Upton real quick to confirm my left field.
He did play outfield, Pat.
I know he played left and right,
yeah.
Pretty equally. Left a little bit more than right. 1,000 games in left, 700 in right. On the next pick, I'm talking to my team leaders here, and it's a good team. It's Griffey, straight as an arrow, Joe Mauer, straight as an arrow, Harold Baines, Adrian Gonzalez.
Oh boy, here we go.
But I can't take this next guy because it's just going to throw off my whole funk, my whole vibe. So I'm going to take Darryl Strawberry. He is actually he's the lesser evil of the 2 outfielders remaining that I think are quality outfielders. But Darryl Strawberry, also somehow, I'm perfectly bookended by Griffey. 1,000 RBIs was Strawberry's career RBIs too, which is a little weird. Phenomenal first 10 years, a la Andrew Jones, and then he faded. I think if he quit after 10 years, his career award would be better. He might even had a better chance at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. He went down the wrong path.
But yeah, exactly. But we're kind of taking the player as they are, everything about them, their career stats. They get their prime, they get their injuries. We get everything that's associated with that. But my outfield now, Dad, is set. I mean, I got Griffey, Patrol in center. And, I mean, it's a strong black outfield. Justin Upton, Darryl Strawberry. I'm very happy with my, I think, fully All-American outfield.
You're doing well.
And then my infield's the opposite, but that's okay. We'll figure it out.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
My first baseman is Bob Horner.
Whoa, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I've run out of first baseman. They all been taken except for Bob. Bob will be my first baseman, and my second baseman is going to be Tim Foley.
Okay. I got to tell you, I'm loving my life right now because neither of those guys even were my backups.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, and speaking of second base, if you are a kid watching this and you want to get drafted in the first round, don't be a second baseman. Be a shortstop, center fielder, or catcher, or a fan, out-of-this-world pitcher.
That's why you chose second base.
Hilarious, right? Because I wanted to be part of the team. A second baseman has never been drafted 1-1 overall. I'm sure there have been first-round second basemen, but never 1-1. It's almost like a shortstop becomes a second baseman or becomes a third baseman. Yes. You want to draft athletes in that very first important $1 million plus pick, and you're not going to draft a second baseman. It's just what it is. So looking at the list of available options, we had just a very low expectation for second base. If you have 50 plus games at second base in your entire career, you qualify. That's how few options are available for us as 1-1 picks as second baseman. It's not going to be good. No one's going to be an all-star at second base in this draft. It's just not going to happen. So him getting Tim Foley playing second base, don't knock it because my second baseman is not necessarily going to be any really better. They're both going to bat ninth and they're going to bunt.
But solid D.
A good glove out there.
That's right.
Okay. Well, I committed to taking my second baseman last at this point, which is fine. I think I got first base. I got shortstop. I need a third baseman. He is going to be. He played third base and left field, but he was obviously drafted as a third baseman. But Pat Burrell of the Phillies. Again, he almost hit 300 home runs in his career. He definitely had some power.
Pat the bat.
Not a great defensive pick, but again, I didn't have Chipper or Alex to pick from. Just like how he went with Bob Horner at first base, we'd have just opposite good corners. But Pat's going to throw it to Adrian, and Adrian with 4 Gold Gloves is going to scoop it.
If he can get it there.
He'll get it there. He was an outfielder. He got the arm. I'm going to take David Price as my lefty starter.
I knew you would.
I do find Price and Cole similar. Cole getting the Cy Young this year put him in my opinion, the same class as David Price. They're pretty, obviously one's still playing. He could get better. He could get worse. Price is a lefty. He has Cy Young experience. He had 5 All-Stars. I think Cole's now at 6 or something like that. But I looked at someone that a very rare, I guess, feature of these starting pitchers that were drafted 1-1 is durability. So many either got hurt. They had Tommy John before they got to the majors. They might have had multiple Tommy Johns, like Mark Appel, I believe.
Yes. And others, Brian Taylor.
Right.
Yeah.
David Price has the most complete games of any starting 1-1 in the history of the MLB draft. Now, could Cole get there and surpass that at some point? Sure. But I was looking at a guarantee thing, and I will take the lefty specialist, David Price. I think in 10 years, we'll look at Blake Snell's career a lot like we kind of do at David Price's. Except David Price threw more innings and threw more complete games. Snell goes 5-6 tops. But I think there is very similar pitchers, and a Price, Cole, both kind of like Cole now in his prime and Price in his prime. That's a good ace battle. So I'm glad that we have really good pitchers. Dad, you can round out the draft, and then obviously I will come back to my second base final pick.
Yeah, my last pick is a center fielder. The very first player drafted 1-1, Rick Monday.
Oh, okay. Sure. I mean, you got the flag in there. Go ahead. Tell the story, Dad.
Playing for the Cubs. He wore number 7. And what happened in L.A. was these two gentlemen brought an American flag out to center field with some lighter fluid and matches and was going to light the flag on fire. And Rick Monday said, "Not on my watch," and scooped the flag and brought it to the dugout and got a standing ovation for his patriotic act. And he's known for that, but he was also a really good center fielder. He played probably between the Dodgers and the Cubs like 15 years. But I liked him because he was the original 1-1 out of Arizona State, and I figured he deserved to be on somebody's team. So that's my complete lineup. I'm quite proud of it, and I have a good balance of left-handers and right-handers in the lineup.
You do. No, it's. We're gonna break obviously this draft down, and I'd love for you to comment at home who drafted the better team. We really just do starters in each position. Obviously a DH and a pitcher. But I'll close out the draft. I'll take Jeff King as my second baseman. Jeff King was drafted as a shortstop. He does qualify. He had over 100 games at second base.
Oh, you know what? I didn't draft the DH.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I guess you could. I guess for some reason, if you wanted Jeff King, you could totally draft him as a DH. It's a bad move, but take a better hitter.
Let's see who's left.
I'm so sorry. Yes.
No, that's my bad. I was so happy with my lineup. Let's go DH and have a little fun, and I'm gonna go with Jeff Burrows.
Okay. Jeff Burrows is certainly a bench option for me as well.
Yeah.
Jeff Burrows led the league in home runs. No, he was a MVP with the Rangers, right?
Yes.
And early when the expansion team.
Good early career.
Yeah. He did have a lot of home runs. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't lead the league at some point, but he definitely had a lot of home runs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I will finish that with Jeff King. Again, he's like an Adam Frazier, but no, I think that's a super fair comparison.
Yeah.
At second base, my other option at second base was Tim Beckham. So I'll take Jeff King.
You know who's still out there that you bypass is Bill Allman.
No, I didn't buy. No, I let him go.
Like him.
No, let him go.
Okay.
I don't think the people at home know who any of these second basemen are. So, anyways, Jeff King. I even have a note. Take a second baseman last. Whoever's left doesn't matter. It's not going to drastically affect your team. He's going to bunt. That I have a good amount of hitters in my lineups. I have multiple Rookie of the Years. I have multiple MVPs. I have 3 Hall of Famers. Again, just to round out the outfield, and then my dad will do the same. I got Griffey starting in center. He's bookended by Justin Upton and Darryl Strawberry. The infield is Pat Burrell and Carlos Correa on the left side of the infield, and then Jeff King and Adrian Gonzalez on the right side. Price and Mauer. Another reason I like Price versus Cole, because Price and Mauer played around the same time. And then Harold Baines is my DH. Dad, take us through your lineup. And again, the people at home, start commenting who drafted a better team.
I think we're pretty close.
I think we are too. This is why I want the feedback.
All right. Catcher, Adley Rutschman.
Okay.
First baseman is Bob Horner.
Okay.
Second baseman is Tim Foley with the highest WAR of all the second basemen.
What was his WAR?
Well, his 5.6.
His WAR was 5.6? Well,
Yeah.
again, Jeff King was 16.9, but no one's really a second baseman.
Yeah, okay.
I think second base is a wash. So
Okay.
we'll just keep going to different things.
All right. Shortstop, probably just a unbelievable career. Just made a little boo-boos along the way. Alex Rodriguez. Third base, Chipper Jones. Hard to argue that side of the infield. Left field, Darryl Erstad. Darren, I'm sorry. What did I say, Darryl?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, Darryl Strawberry, clearly the better player.
Center field, Rick Monday. Right field, Bryce Harper. Garrett Cole, my pitcher.
Who's your DH?
DH was Jeff Burrows.
Okay.
And I think if you take it and
let's do the comparison.
Okay.
All right. So Price and Cole are pretty even. I think people are gonna say
it's a toss.
If Cole has another Cy Young year, he's gonna surpass Price. I hear that. If Cole gets injured, if Cole has a really bad, 31, 32, if he has a bad next 4 or 5 years, it's gonna change.
But his consistency is what I like.
Sure. Joe Mauer's in the Hall of Fame. It's hard to go up against a Hall of Famer and say that you're better. Adley's largely unproven. Could Adley have a better career than Joe Mauer in 15 years? Sure. But right now, people are going to take the Hall of Famer over the unproven kind of second year, third year player.
Granted.
Sure. The DH, same thing. Harold Baines over Jeff Burrows. Hall of Fame, not Hall of Fame. I think not the second base matters. I think I have a stronger right side of the infield with Adrian Gonzalez, and you have.
I have Bob Horner.
Yeah.
And Tim Foley.
And then you have a strong left side of the infield than me. You definitely have Jones and Alex Rodriguez. By the way,
by leaps and bounds.
Sure. Alex Rodriguez was the only person to win multiple MVPs being drafted first. Now are those MVPs tainted? Of course they are. He has the highest WAR of anyone being drafted, number one, but again, tainted. He has the most home runs, most RBIs. You can kind of get where this picture goes. I still think if we take out the 4 years that Alex has admitted that he used steroids for, take out those stats, he's still a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I wish he never did it because athletic-wise, I mean, when he was scouted at 18 coming from Florida, 17 coming from Florida, people thought he was the best player. Like Peter Gammons talks about how he was the biggest Chipper Jones guy, and then Alex Rodriguez came in the circuit. So it really just... I wish he didn't ever do it. He would easily be a Hall of Famer in my book.
And he didn't have to.
He didn't have to, but money and I'm sure all that stuff. And also the ease of access of early 2000s steroids.
Yeah.
Okay, so pitcher kind of seems a wash. I got you in catcher and DH. We have opposite sides of the infield that are better. I think the outfield is where I have you. I'll give you right field, Harper over Strawberry, but Griffey better than Monday. That's not a conversation. And Upton is, I think, just I don't know. Upton Erstad could be the. It's defense. I think if you put Erstad in center, I don't know.
I would take Erstad every day.
He's a better hitter.
Upton was not a great defensive outfielder.
No, but he's in left field. You put your best defensive outfielder in left field. I think that's a mistake on your part.
Yeah, but because I had a good defensive center fielder. Yeah, but the rest of the people in left field were in great.
Strawberry Harper. I think Strawberry Harper. I said I gave you that. I still think that's close. Harper is now moving to first base. So in 10 years, when people look at this draft, obviously people are going to be watching this in 10 years. They might say, what are you talking about? Darryl Strawberry's clearly a better outfielder than Harper. Harper moved to the infield when he was 29, 30 years old.
Because he could throw.
Well, his injuries. Yeah, he still could throw. I don't know. It's headlined by Griffey. I have all-star supporting cast. You're center fielder, not in the same thing, but you have like a strong corner outfielders. So it's a very balanced draft. That's why I need the people at home to weigh in.
What I have on my side is a nice right to left-handed balance. If you go through my lineup, I got strong position players that bat left-handed and right-handed.
Look at mine. So do I.
Left, right, left.
That's a balance. You said 4 of each, I believe.
I think I got better balance. I think the only thing that I'll say in my defense is Mike Chipper and Alex Rodriguez is very, very strong.
Yeah. You have the left side of the infield.
But I mean by leaps and bounds.
Sure. And then you got awfulness on the right side of the infield. Granted, second base is second base. Well, I have 3 Hall of Famers.
Well, you stole Harold Baines from me.
I have. Well, you chose to defer. Again, Griffey. If Griffey and A-Rod, I was looking at this on how I could have ended up with Griffey and A-Rod. I think that team wins. After that, it doesn't matter because that's the 90s Mariners. But they didn't win a World Series. But anyways, it is a very balanced 2 rosters. It is a very fun exercise. If you want to go look, MLB.com has the past, like I said, 60 years of top choice drafts. Some never even saw the majors, which is really tough to see these number one overall picks not make the team, not make the show. Some that were drafted 1-1 overall didn't even sign, which is incredible. Even back then, there had to be some signing bonuses. I just thought it was very interesting to see trends on a decade goes by and not a catcher gets drafted first, and it's just pitcher, or shortstop.
And I think is with those 2 positions, you have a shortstop that may not end up at shortstop, becomes a utility guy or second base, and then a pitcher may go to bullpen. So I'm thinking that understanding of getting those players, if they don't go with the A plan, the B plan is not bad. Mm-hmm. Most catchers stay a catcher. They don't have enough athleticism to go to the outfield and all that.
They're not going to go to the outfield. They're going to go to the first base or Kyle Schwarber and be a DH.
But just in the last 10 years, just to follow up your thought process, you got Mark Appel that just never reached more than Double-A.
No, he played for the Phillies as of last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then he made a hell of a comeback. Brady Aiken.
Never saw.
Correct. And then Mickey Moniak has been floundering in the minor league system with the Phillies.
He did see the show with the Phillies and now the Angels, but yes, he's like a fourth outfielder.
Right.
He's
but
fast.
I'm saying 1-1, those guys didn't live up to the billing.
It's also going to be fun to redo this draft, I think, in a decade, because in the past 5 years, can you take that down for a second? Jackson Holiday. I mean, I don't think he's going to be in the same realm, but he could certainly be beating Correa at some point.
Yeah.
Henry Davis, maybe he surpasses Adley Rutschman. We don't know.
They need to keep him a catcher because they put him in the outfield this year.
I know, but I'm just saying, for our draft, you draft as a catcher. That's all that matters to qualify.
Yeah.
And the most recent LSU guy out of the Pirates, he might see the show in the fall. He's number one. Like I think he's incredibly going up the rankings in the system that fast. But this was just an interesting thing to do. I'm very surprised how there is just an absolute bum list, that a complete misfire on these people spending all this time. There's only four Hall of Famers, and then again probably like 12 to 16 All-Stars. So if your team gets the number one pick, that's a lot of pressure. There's no guarantee in the number one pick. It's just what I wanted to share. There's a lot of hope and stuff, but I mean, you could end up like B.J. Surhoff on this list and play 4 positions over the course of your life, and never really get to that plateau or that expectation.
We have one fella that became a manager. So I think the only one of the 1-1 became a manager.
Sure.
So I thought that
for now.
For now is right.
It was interesting how we avoided Josh Hamilton. That's what I was saying, kind of middle of this draft. I was between Hamilton or Upton. It's another MVP. One of the few, I think the only MVP that got left off this draft. And simply because of the baggage that Josh Hamilton brings. Josh Hamilton clean probably is drafted in the 3rd round of this draft.
Put on a show with home run derby.
Right. Josh Hamilton clean is better than Darryl Strawberry, in my opinion, and it probably equals to Bryce Harper's potential.
I think he's a better athlete.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's just interesting how drugs and alcohol and bad decisions can really affect. He was one of the few people that wasn't quote unquote injured. That the reason he didn't make the show, I had to do Tommy John again or whatever. It's just he couldn't get his addictions under control. I'm glad that we got to see a little bit of the what ifs, but there's a lot of what ifs in this draft. What if Alex Rodriguez didn't do steroids? What if Griffey never got injured with the Reds? How could he have beaten? Could he have hit 800 home runs?
David Price.
There's a little bit. I mean, his injury was with Boston towards the way later half of his career.
Wasn't it a shoulder?
Steven Strasburg was my other
me too.
pick. He was the only World Series MVP on this draft. But same thing with injuries. What could have been draft, but it's just very interesting to look at these things sometimes. We like to do sillier, unique drafts, so we hope that you appreciated it. And again, please sound off in the comments.
Yeah, we're still in
We think we both won. Call it what it is.
We don't know who won, but it's pretty darn close on when we draft and all that stuff. Both teams are pretty pungent. You hate to face either lineup, but at the same time, it was a fun exercise. And there's some people that you go through. I mean, there's some people that had a great career. Sean Dunston had a great career, but then, the other people, Dansby Swanson, who will probably be Hall of Fame material when he gets done with his career.
Interesting.
But yeah, just didn't make the cut just because there's so many talented players in certain positions.
Again, let us know your thoughts. And then while you're commenting, why don't you click some other links in our description below, like following us on all social media and subscribing to our YouTube channel. We are at Pastime Podcast _ on Twitter and Instagram, and the Father and Son Pastime Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. Dad, anything else before we sound off and enjoy some playoff football?
You know what? This was a lot of fun. It was a really good one. Thank you for Patrick for letting us do this exercise. I would love to see what the viewers have to say, who might have the edge. Very competitive. I think it's pretty close.
I love doing these drafts, especially that span past decades, because would love to see some of these players in their prime. I would totally buy a ticket to this
Oh my God.
hypothetical game.
Oh,
Just
even a home run derby.
yeah, well, yeah, just to see some of
Yeah.
this competition and the intensity and just so many things. So when we used to do our 1980s drafts, our 1970s drafts, they were just really fun for me because I'm like, I've only seen highlights of these guys. I've only heard stories. I would love to see this, Hall of Very Good team play. So yeah, if you like this draft, we have so many back catalog. We've been doing this for 5.5 years now, I think. So there's plenty of drafts out there. If you like this, who drafted better, we have a dozen plus videos for you to watch. So look at our old videos, 100 plus and growing.
Yeah, just fun. Thank you for watching. Be interested and see what you thought of this little video.
Spring training is so close. We're going to get there, everybody.
2 weeks.
Next month is February. We'll make it. Baseball will be back soon. Warmer weather. We're almost there. And I hope that these 30-some minutes gave you a little bit of hope for the MLB season.
Yeah.
Enjoy.